I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. It's off. It's off.
It's the fourth time.
Oh, right, let's get going. Okay. Right. Hello, viewers. Welcome to the Underground Podcast. I'm co-host Billy Jenkins, also known as Andrew Suss on MSC News.
Yeah, my name
And
is
today our
Dimitri
host.
Soskov, and yeah, we are here joined by who are you fine gentlemen again?
Larson, McFerren.
Yeah, the general.
Can you state your rank in the MSC?
No, I cannot. No, I cannot.
He's deficient.
Okay.
Sir
And choose our very, very special guest.
Sir Edward Blunt, Chairman of the Metropolitan Security Council.
So welcome.
When he wants to be.
So welcome, High Command of the Metropolitan Security Council. Great to have you here. Basically on the podcast, we're gonna ask you a few questions about your time in the MSC and stuff like that. So, Dimitri, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. I have a question for the general. Of course, everybody wants to know this. How hard is it to lead all of us, or at least try to organize all of us? I think it's a pretty taxing job, isn't it?
Are you talking about when I was the chairman, or currently when I'm me being the general?
Probably both, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. I think both kind of resolve around the same thing. Well,
I think it's the same, isn't it? It's not really that much of a big rank difference.
Well, it's a pretty loaded question because military is not with the government. You see, the military is supposed to operate independently from the government. All the ministers are not able to control the government. Or excuse me, all the ministers aren't being able to control the military. So because of that, you see only really one second. There we go. There we go. Sorry, someone's PMing me. But yeah, I mean, being able to run the MSC as a general is pretty different than being able to run the group as a chairman, because with you still have to do the balancing act of balancing the 190th Division and the 327th Division, and making sure that the appointments are. It's really just all about the appointments, making sure that they're balanced, making sure that the ranks get filled, and making sure that people who are in these leadership positions are actually doing things, planning events, keeping the people entertained. Now, for chairman, it's the exact same thing, but only multiplied times 4. It's not balancing divisions, it's balancing the military, balancing MRG appointments, balancing the minister appointments. And usually most of my time was spent just getting into calls and just spending, hours upon hours just speaking to people, formulating new businesses, new opportunities for members. So, as chairman, it was pretty difficult, and although I am the general, it's not the same as any other general if there were to be one, because me being the founder of the group, it's kind of like general with more stuff added onto it. So,
Yeah,
it can be pretty difficult. Yeah.
Then I got a question for the current chairman, Chairman Lance. What do you think about your duties? Is it hard for you, or can you manage?
The duties themselves would be hard if it wasn't for the fact that I obviously have the ministers, Prime Minister or Acting General Larson, as well as the district government, which obviously helps to release stress by having them actually fixate time on specific areas instead of me having to try and do it all by myself. Obviously balancing my college around with my staff, my whitelist, and the embassy gets a bit obvious time consuming completely, because I have got to balance 4 things I have to stay active with. However, I think because of the fact that I have a group of people helping me, that we are good. We are good how it is, and then the MSC is running, and then the duties are not too overwhelming.
Okay, gotcha. Billy, would you like to ask something else? Perhaps?
So yes, the general had spoken to me before we had started the podcast about a question that he would like to really ask. So general, would you like to tell us about the history of the MSC?
Like the absolute history, or like just the brief impulse history?
I mean, depends on how long we're going to be here, to be honest. This is a 40-minute podcast. Although this is going on for days.
How much time do we got left?
We aren't counting, honestly.
30 minutes.
We're just
All right. Well, then I'll try my best, then I suppose. From 2016 to 2018, probably early 2019, I ran a group called the DG on this one server called SPD Gaming, and it wasn't anything special. It was an SCPRP server, and it was very simple. It was it was originally called Larson's Militia, and the intention was is that a bunch of people get guns, we run out into the streets, and when the SCPs emerge from the foundation, we'd shoot the shit out of them. And eventually, and I don't know why this kind of became to be, but I guess I just didn't stop. I just tried to keep growing it, and I just felt that desire when I was younger to just keep growing it, and eventually went from just SCPRP to now let's see if we can go on different game modes, and I don't really want to get into the details of the operations because it can get kind of boring, but I learned a lot of lessons on how to or I learned that a lot of mistakes during that time that when I was making the MSC, I vowed kind of not to make again, such as not to mass recruit. When I was younger, when I was running the DG, anyone I saw was equally has an equal value to me back then. It's just I was just trying to shove as many people into the group, and in the MSC, it's not like that. We're very filtered. We have pretty rigid requirements to join. Another thing that I learned from the DG days is not to have two absolute leaders. In the DG, I had this one guy who I trusted for a short amount of time named Solaire, and I liked Solaire, but eventually, after a year or so, we had disagreements. And here's the thing: if there's a disagreement, who can really quell the disagreement when you have two absolute leaders, right? In the MSC, you don't have two absolute leaders; you have one, and that's intentional because that follows back to the mistake I made back with the DG. And although I've ran groups in between the DG and the MSC, the DG was probably the most biggest kind of test to see how well could I lead a group in this sort of sphere, really, I guess. Now, as far as MSC and where it came about, well, I got tired of playing unturned. I was working with this one guy who put no effort into his group, and I was putting way too much into it. So I'm like, screw you guys. You guys aren't even doing shit. And so for 2 days later, I found Impulse. And then a day later, and this was in December of 2019, and then a day later, I'm like, hey, I want to make a Rebel RP group because I found the server fascinating. And this was on B210, the original B210. I loved the map. I loved the simplicity. I loved it. It was the only Half-Life 2 RP that I really enjoyed. And when I saw, like I said, the simplicity, the GUIs, just how the server's coded, but also the map and just the overall functions, the food dealers, it inspired me, and I wanted to make a group. And like I said, a day later, I pretty much made the MSC. I think I was in a call with a friend of mine, and I was just thinking up of random words, just cool words that sounded nice. And I was like, MSC, and then I just took the letters that I randomly thought up in my head, and then I just associated a name like Metropolitan Security Council. Now, wouldn't that sound nice? And I can even hear myself now saying that because that's literally what I said. I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And yeah, and then pretty much I think December like 15th or 16th, I was walking around and I found these two guys in the alleyway on B210, and it's Bob Glass and Robert Stacklow, who without them this group wouldn't be to where it is today, and the rest is history. So that's kind of the origin from my early baby of the DG and some of my other smaller groups that aren't really worth mentioning. But yeah, so without the DG, I don't really think I would have been successful running the MSC without making those mistakes earlier, many years ago.
Oh, I mean, mine's very interesting when you say them each.
Yeah, of course. I mean, knowing about our humble beginnings is always a very big value, especially to other members of the MSC too. I think keeping well informed about where we come from and what we do, keep the values, up there. So yeah, must agree.
Yeah. I do have a question for the current chairman. So Chairman Lance, can you describe to us on how what it was like to be granted the position of chairman within the MSC, and how that process went of joining the MSC and then becoming a chairman and running the MSC?
So I actually joined quite a quite a long time ago, back on we had just turned B210, I believe, just from D47,
Yeah.
which was my first map. Yeah, we had so I saw a lot of. I actually saw a lot of the MSC during D47 because of the fact that I always obviously used the training. I used to main Civ back then, so I was kind of starting to learn a bit mechanics, and I met the MSC. In Beta 10, I joined it. It was actually Soviet AVX that actually did my course. And I was in it for a while. I joined what would be known as the Civil Workers Consortium, which was effectively just a collection of kind of businesses with the intent of obviously kind of driving the market a bit. Unfortunately, the MSC, because of reasons obviously, kind of disbanded. Well, didn't necessarily disband, but went underground for a bit. Then it came back around CD8. Larson had returned a bit, not mostly for the event, and we kind of started speaking again. Now, City I-17 came along after the event, which, as I'm fairly sure you know, Larson was a lead of that event along with me, and the actual proposal was that it was going to be Creamy that was going to be the chairman. So Zach was going to be the chairman, and I was going to be his district governor. However, he had decided that it was going to be too overwhelming, and that he'd prefer to be my district governor and have me as the chairman. We spoke it over with Larson, and we effectively had a meeting of a few people, such as Prime Minister Lee, or Jake Lee, who at one point was the chairman, and a few other individuals.
The governor, you mean?
Yes. And we spoke quite a lot over a couple of days over what we do, how would this work, how would that work, what kind of proposals I could bring, and then we came obviously after we had all agreed. Well, the majority agreed, apart from one individual who at the time was unable to actually give his choice. Yeah, and from then, obviously, we started slow. We rebuilt the Discord, rebuilt the in-game, and then we had a ceremony, an inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
Once things were ready, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things changed. A lot of plans changed on the way here, but here we are. We are back.
We still have the not to interrupt. We still have the document of the
Yeah.
proposal of I pretty much edited it, but a lot of the main wording was from Azio. If you guys would like to see that document that was given to the voting ministers who were on that panel to vote Azio in,
we'll
feel free to
put
look.
it in the description of the
Alright,
video.
I'll shoot that over then.
Okay. So I do have one last question for both of you. It is a bit of an odd question. So the first question goes to Azio again. Azio, why do you eat cereal with your spoon upside down?
It's just
I mean, on MSC News, it was clearly spotted that you were seen recorded trying to eat cereal, and you would use the hammer and bash the back end of the spoon and try to eat cereal.
Nobody was.
So, Azio, why do you do that?
Nobody was meant to see that. That was meant to be confidential. Just,
And
one
for
of my
the
rituals.
general of the for the general of the MSC, why do you get mad when people ping you on Discord? And go in quotation marks drill sergeant mode.
Someone must have heard me rage at Orion Networks recently. I don't know if you guys were there.
Actually.
At Orion? Recently, I got very upset because Orion Networks kept pinging me about their game night. I don't know if anyone here is from Orion. I don't want to play Among Us. Okay, I'm not playing Among Us. Stop pinging me. Okay, I'm gonna leave the damn Discord if you keep pinging me. I'm not playing Among Us. This isn't even a meme. I'm not playing Among Us.
I think it's called Among Us.
I was so upset about that 2 days ago because they kept pinging me for Among Us. I don't want to play Among Us.
Pretty sure it's called Among Us.
Oh, whatever it's called, I don't want to play it.
Would you like to take a quick look at the Discord laws?
I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it.
But oh, but yeah, I mean, it's quite. I mean, I find it really odd, Asia. What? Still can't get over that with the cereal.
You will
But I
never
mean, the
know.
governor. I mean, another quick question for both of you. What do you think of the governor working out? Would you say he's pretty aggressive?
So what?
The
Absolutely.
governor of the MSC. Do you think he's a bit
Working?
aggressive when he's working out?
I don't really watch him that intently, you know.
I mean, when he was on the news, he was pretty aggressive. Just trying to square up to bodybuilders and stuff like that.
You know, I hate to put him on the spot. You should probably ask your co-host that. I saw him eyeballing some of his personal assets, if you know what I mean, a little bit too intently on last podcast.
Well,
Oh.
Mr. Soskov.
Man's got thunderous thighs. I couldn't resist, looking at him.
Boss just describing himself at this point.
You were
Just
salivating,
showing
Mr.
what he's
Soskov.
So, Dimitri, would you like to ask them a few questions? Because I need to go get my rations, because I'm about to die. So, I shall be right
Oh,
back.
I can fix that.
Oh, you poor man.
Are you sure? Okay. Let's have a look. Oh, no, no. Okay. I'll go. I shall be back in a second.
On,
Oh,
on
fuck.
other news, the General Larson has just been banned for attempted RDM.
just happens.
Not there's any footage, you know. New admin rule. There has to be footage for everything. No more investigative work. There you
Effectively,
go.
is an
Little
admin
shade right there.
Oh, beautiful. It definitely adds to it. I actually want to discuss one thing that happened yesterday. I was a tiny bit part of it. Our own economy minister, Charles Edwards, was apparently taken hostage by some of the CPs and was made to say some, well, not very good things about the MSC, but he later rectified that by going on air, sneaking into the Nexus and going on to the CA's office. What do you actually think about that entire ordeal? Should he have done that? Should he have just resisted the CPs and gone straight up? Oh, screw you guys. I am who I am. Our group is who it is, and well, didn't have to have this redemption arc. Or do you see it as like a courageous act as he went back again?
Would you like to answer first, Azio?
Yes. Obviously, he said what he had to say to protect himself. We understand that obviously it may look bad for the MSC, however, it'd look a lot worse if our men was being killed. He did what was needed to protect himself, and I completely agree with that. His actions are completely excusable. The protection of our members is much more important. Our reputation can take a hit and it can be rebuilt. What you cannot do is bring somebody back to life that was killed. I'd much rather him take a small hit and then fix that by obviously making out that, well, obviously it wasn't his own discretion that he said it and he was forced to, than have to lose a very dedicated member of the MSC just purely because he was too stubborn to admit that he was captured.
And I agree to that. It's not a good hill to die on, especially with the Combine, for a little bit of our reputation to be to take a little bit of a hit because of just someone's ego. We are here to fight the Combine. That's no secret. But Edwards saying once in broadcast that the MSC is whatever the Combine want the rebels to think, as some subversive organization, some terrorist organization. That little moment of discrediting us will not stop the bullets from coming. And in fact, I have no. I think what I'm trying to say is I think Edwards made the good decision, and especially because Mr. Edwards is a very courageous man in general, and not only is he very courageous and brave, but he's also a lifesaver. He recently did a good favor for me, so if Mr. Edwards is listening to this, I'd like to once again say thank you, and for what you did. Only you may know what I'm talking about, but I'm glad that Mr. Edwards chose the safe route. He's a very good asset, and it's by the grace of God he was spared by the Combine.
Yeah, I must agree. I mean, yesterday was a pretty courageous act. He had to sneak into the Nexus 2 times actually. One time the
Twice.
apartment. Yeah, one time the apartment got raided, and the second one, well, it was successful. Although he had some accompanying distractions who got killed. He himself actually hit very well, and I'm glad that he got to the CA's office to, redeem himself and redeem, well, pretty much all of us. So thank you for
Yes.
that, Sir Edward.
There's very few people like Charles Edwards.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's say Charles Edwards. He's a very good man. He's got very good responsibilities and strives for success. Wouldn't you agree, Dimitri?
Yes, exactly.
So, Dimitri, do you have any more questions for these fine gentlemen?
Well, judging by the fact that Larson is, I think, about to pass out, I think we should.
Oh, I can
Probably.
run for days, honey.
Oh, okay.
More content, I guess.
More content.
So, I do have a question for you, Larson. So, being a general, what specifically do you do within combat? Do you provide like information, or do you actually get involved in combat?
Well, the position itself. Well, let me first answer this: is that there will be a new general very, very soon. A person who I think a lot of us respect and a lot of us hold very dear. I will not release his name. His name will be released soon, and this new general will be expected to be more of a frontline combatant, and he'll be expected to plan a lot more very coordinated attacks. But for me personally, just because of my nature in the group, me being the founder, I can't just how do I word this? Like I'll always be a government member no matter what position I take, if you know what I mean. And so I usually tend to just be an aide to the government and do a lot of government tasks. And so when I'm at Shell Beach, I usually just sell food and I just offer my aid to the members there. But very rarely do I go on attacks just because of I usually just have other government duties I just need to attend to that are going to be soon fulfilled by the new Minister of Civic Development and Opportunity, who also will be promoted soon. So you got two new big positions coming in. So right now, I'm just trying to get those positions in line, and you might see me more on the battlefield once that those ends are tied up.
Very good. So, also with you, Azio, are you more want to be in combat as well?
Combat, not necessarily. I mean, I'm not really much of a fighter. I do it time to time.
He's a lover.
Yeah, thanks for that. But
She's blushing.
Shut up. From time to time, yes, obviously, I'll assist our guys on the ground, but no, I do prefer having more of just a kind of government position that involves less combat, where I can just get work done and not necessarily have to be in continuous fighting. Because that's not the only thing. Bear in mind, that's not the only thing that drives the rebellion. It's not just kill every single person we see. We have to actually have things set up. Like we could take over the whole city, but if we don't have businesses, if we don't actually have research or anything, we won't get any. We need to have other things as well to drive the rebellion.
Yeah.
So, Scov, may I make just a quick statement for anyone who's watching? I say this almost every time people talk to me. I want to encourage all civilians who are not currently employed, please feel free to make your businesses and use official MSC property to advertise your businesses. We love businesses, and if anyone needs any help setting up a business, please speak to the Minister of Finance and/or speak to Azio or Creme because they will definitely help you. So please, we love business. Thank you. There's my little announcement.
I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, I like what you guys
Business
do.
is good. We need more business. Like
I
anything,
think-
anything, people, anything.
Capitalism.
I'm so serious. I'm dead serious.
I think what you guys do with businesses and allow people to be supported. Oh, I'm stuck in the camera. I like how you guys support civilians who are interested in with their businesses. They provide support and outstanding ability to be able to show confidence and be able to go to the MSC and be like, okay, I want to advertise my business. And with you guys actually say yes, come aboard, and you help them out, which I think is a very good thing, and I do support that as well.
Then I suppose I have one more question. One more question for both of you, since you are in high-standing positions currently, and will be, of course. What do you think? Do all our groups work effectively and efficiently? And are there any sort of remarks to any specific group? Should they do their job better, or should they come up with more ideas, or anything like that? Any criticism or praise, whichever you please.
Azio, this is an interesting question considering, you know what? little birdie,
Yes.
if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I don't
the
even think
only-
we can answer that knowing what we know.
Only one thing I'd comment is mostly towards the fact that a lot of people will not become economics because let's say, for example, this kind of like thing we have here, this podcast is purely roleplay based. This isn't necessarily going to return profit or tokens. Like, people are not going to pay money rent. They may pay in donations, but you know what? It's not.
It's
like
not
we're
like
gonna
you're selling a
invest.
product like a piece of bread.
Precisely. A lot of people are scared to ask for anything of the government or scared to try and use any of our resources because they seem to be under this influence that for them to get stuff, they have to actually be returning money. Not necessarily. If you have a roleplay business, it doesn't have to be generating money to actually have us interested. We are interested in roleplay. That's the whole purpose. This is a roleplay server. We want to help people roleplay. We want to just get this point across to every single person in the whole MSC and anybody thinking about joining or that has an image of the MSC, is that they need to understand that we are not here purely for personal gain. We are not here to get ourselves rich.
Not at all.
In all fairness, I could not care less how much money people because I simply don't care. The only thing that I care about personally is knowing that we can actually help people. I don't want people to be misinformed and be under the influence. We are not going to help them because they're not going to make us money. No. We will help anybody, regardless if they're going to make us 100,000 tokens or no tokens. Regardless, we will help you. Obviously, if you ask us for 70,000 tokens for nothing, we're going to say no. We're going to say
no. Skeptical.
Yeah, exactly. But if you come in saying, "Can I have 2,000, 3,000 tokens so I can buy some stuff, get some boobs for some roleplay?" Most likely, we'll turn around and we'll say, "Yeah, by all means, go ahead." We want to help people, but for us to help people, they have to tell us what they want. They can't expect us to just instantly know, okay, you want this amount of money, you want this, you want that. Come tell us. Speak to Boykova. He is quite literally the Minister of Finance and Economics. It is his job to help people. It's his job to help when it comes to businesses. If people do not speak to him, we cannot help him. And we need to get this situation established. If you want to help, speak to us. People have got to stop assuming we know what they need. That's the only thing I've really referenced.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything Lance said is completely factual. And I don't know how many people will view this podcast. I hope every single person in the MSC views this podcast. How many times you guys advertise it, of course. But the biggest cancer that will always be in the group is people. I mean, it's just what Lance said. People's unwillingness to speak up. I am unsure if it's just a lack of knowledge in how the group works. I think it's very straightforward that you can just go to the top highest ranking people, Azio and Creamy, if you have a question. But there is just so many people, and I cannot release details, but Azio completely understands what I'm referring to here. That there are so many people that expect so much out of us, yet put in absolutely no effort whatsoever to make their expectations a reality. There are people who expect money out of us, who have not spoken to Boykova. There's people who plead with us, or I've not with us, but I've heard in hushed whispers. I'll say there were people complaining about a lack of operations, yet not suggest one to their division commander, not once comment about, or get in a call with the division commander, not once even organize it themselves, or hell, even go to their captain or sentinel. I've seen people who, I mean, it's ridiculous. I've heard semantics where people complain about, oh, the MSC isn't what it used to be. Just silly, nonsensical stuff. And it all ties down to just pure laziness and ignorance. So many people either have no idea who to contact or they're unwilling to contact people. And this kind of leads into what the group's about. Everyone in the MSC should be very aware that I made this group with the intention where people can make their own opportunities to lead and their own opportunities to create their own RP. You will not be given that opportunity to do as you please within an organization on impulse, or I'll even argue on any RP server, because we are a very, very liberal group. We do not let. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that Azio is not bossing Soskov around. Azio is not bossing Jenkins around. In fact, to make my point across very clearly, Dmitry Soskov and Billy Jenkins are sitting here in their studio. There's no armed guards around here, all right? They're not being told to make this podcast. They are doing this because they want to. And it's very upsetting when I hear people complain about, people who have been in the MSC for a long time who complain about the downfalls of the group. But it's like, but what have you contributed? I can't do anything else. I've told people, if you want to make something happen, I will do whatever I can in my power to assist you. I'll make documents for you. I'll try to relay money to you. I'll try to get 190th protection to you. In fact, another example of this is that Mr. Edwards, as we may know, is having a play today. And I've informed the 190th that I said, go and fucking guard the underground rebel area so his play can continue. And you're talking about what section the MSC needs to do better. I don't really think there's any section. I just think everyone needs to understand that the group rests in their hands, and expecting the highest ranking people like Azio and Creamy to magically know what everyone wants is not only inconsiderate, but it's also lazy. And I want people to know that they have the power to do what they want, and there is no shame in asking for help, and there is no shame in getting involved with something, and maybe we're having a change of heart about something. I want people to be able to choose what they want to do, whether it's running a newspaper company, joining the military, becoming an intelligence corps officer, or just doing some very, very passive RP, like being, I don't know, a microwave salesman. Anything is possible, and it breaks my heart when I see people just not wanting to get involved because they just don't want to. So to answer your question in a too long don't read version, the main people who need to step it up is everyone. Everyone needs to get involved, and my dream is to hopefully have every civilian involved in some industry or some sort of facet of the MSC, controlled by them, not dictated by Azio, or everyone's controlled by Azio, but controlled by them, their own business, their own subgroup, their own opportunity that they made that's enjoyable to them and isn't just imposed by them by the highest rank like many other rebel groups, right? Where everything's told, you're going to be this because I tell you to, because I'm the leader. I want people to have the freedom, and that's why this group was made the way it is. And that's why there's a lot of channels in our Discord dedicated to making sure people can have their opinions and their voices heard, because it's about what they want to do, not what the leader tells them to do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This is one of the best aspects of the MSC, where people can do what they want. Well, not, of course, within reason. And
yes, within,
Yeah, develop their own ideas. As we are here, me and Billy, we're making
the studio, for example.
Exactly. Yeah, making news, keeping our group informed, and reporting on pretty much the latest and greatest, I suppose. And so, pretty much anyone can do that if they please.
Dimitri, I don't have any more questions, but if you do have any more questions, do say, because then we can have our guests join us for our second and last time of today's podcast. If you'd like to go on to that segment.
Yes, I think so. I'm out of questions as well at the moment.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to introduce our next segment, the food side of the podcast. So,
oh gosh.
We do love to talk about this, don't we, Dimitri?
Can you tell me about this part?
Yes, of course. I mean, our food, even the rations, they're all.
You call that food?
It's semi-food.
Semi-food.
It's colorful, but yeah, I mean.
You know what they put in that stuff?
Something that makes you forget, as I've heard.
That's how the story goes.
Are you actually experiencing any signs of dementia from that?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm gonna ask you guys some questions about some recipes. Do you guys have some good recipes for any food combinations?
Well, there's one very popular rebel meal that's quick to prepare when you're in the heat of combat. It's the mincemeat stew.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. It's a classic. What you do, for anyone who's not the rebel, 327th combat warrior, the mincemeat stew is very, very easy. What you do is you take a head crab and you cut it in half, you gut it, and then you salt it, and then you put 1 sparkling water in it, and you boil it, and voila.
Do you think it's got a type of sweet or sour, a crunch or a bitterness? What do you think connotation you get out of it?
The sodium makes the pain go away.
Fair enough.
The emotional pain or the physical pain?
should actually try try it out.
I know Azio has one good recipe is to use a metal use a metal spoon upside down in cereal. I mean, do you get like a different taste off that? Like, do you get like the other end of the stick?
He gets the tasty part of the spoon.
Honestly, cannot be beaten. Cannot be beaten.
I mean, actually, tell me like how does it work? Like, do you get like a lot more do you get like a lot more like cereal
What do
onto
you
it than
mean,
like a
how
regular?
does
He
it
gets to
work?
lick the Chinese chemicals off the
What do you
metal
mean, how
spoon
does it
more.
work? You turn a spoon upside down. It's not rocket science.
I mean, yeah, because then like if you don't want like very wet cereal, turn it upside down, put the cereals on, then it goes a bit more drier.
You get that extremely cold metal taste in your mouth, yeah. Very nice.
I know I do have one good recipe, which
One of the many perks of being the chairman, he gets the inverted spoon.
I do have one very good recipe, which I have tried lately, Dimitri. I call it the ration surprise.
The ration surprise or the Russian surprise.
Kind of both.
Okay.
So as you see, all you need on this table is you need your rations, a bottle of wine, some sparkling water, and 2 cups because you're going to be down in this with your friend. So,
Is the crowbar needed as well?
For an extra metal taste. if you
for
wish.
mixing.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I can't really bring a knife because then the CPUs would be busting down my door right now.
Isn't that crowbar someone belongs to someone else? I don't know. I must be that dementia kicking.
I mean, there was someone called Gordon on it, but I mean, I don't know who the fuck. Who's Gordon anyway?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? So, basically, this is a type of like, I like to call this like a little cocktail. So, basically, you pour the watery rations into a cup, into both cups, half each. You then get the bottle of apple wine. You then pour about like 3 or 4 teaspoons, depending on how fucking, how high or, how long you want to go to sleep for. So if you're feeling like, you want a quick sleep, you down the whole fucking thing in it. Bit of sparkling water, mix that up. You'll be asleep in no time, or you'll even enjoy yourself. You get that like type of like sour and
Exotic.
sweet taste. Yeah.
Sounds like something Larson should try tonight.
I don't. Good thing I had dinner just before this.
Or you're going to be throwing that up in the toilet tomorrow. And also, if you want to be extra fruity, you could even grab some more different bottles of whiskey and mix that in. Get an even
Come on,
more
Jenkins.
type of like.
Not on the show, okay?
Okay. I mean, Dimitri, do you have any more like food recipes?
Telling me not
No,
to
I
be
don't
fruity.
think I don't think I have anything to top that one off. I mean, the Russian surprise sounds absolutely delightful. I'll definitely try that. Perhaps maybe on the next podcast. Hopefully, I won't get too knocked
I
out.
wouldn't try it on the podcast because you'll be in the toilet most of it.
Oh, we'll place
Is
one
it
down
too-
somewhere here.
Is it too taboo to suggest the one food that is only mentioned in the quiet abysses of the rebel bases?
Oh no!
Oh, are you
Not
talking
it.
about the sus? Are you talking about that sus meat?
Oh no, I'm talking about the Vorticon feet.
Oh, please
Alright.
do
I
tell.
know it's
Please do
I
tell.
know it's I know it's a little bit taboo, unorthodox to say this in a public setting, but deviled Vortigaunt feet. It has a 7 out of 10.
All right.
Just don't tell old
Uh,
Sweepy about it.
How do you
But I mean-
get a hold of this forbidden sustenance?
I don't want to answer that question.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He has been content lately. He has been a bit busy. Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah, that's
There's a reason why old Sweepy isn't here anymore.
Oh no. So Dimitri, if do you have any restaurants you'd like to suggest before we end today's podcast?
Oh, not really. The only one I've been to recently is, of course, Larson's Grill. That is.
Oh yeah,
put up on the
you can actually
shelf.
thank him because yeah,
Exactly.
he's right.
Those were like the 2 tastiest sardines in my life that I've ever had. Nowhere else. Like,
Well, I
no
gave it
other
the
place,
special
so-
seasoning.
Exactly.
What,
It's
what was the
wonderful.
special seasoning, if we could ask?
Gunpowder.
That's what made it pop. Okay. I'll definitely get more of those. later down the line.
Is that why you're very explosive, Dimitri?
Yeah, I've been feeling a little gassy. I think one time I sat on the toilet, it nearly exploded, but you know, life happens. Life
Let's just hope no one sets Dimitri alight because he's going to be
Is-
fucking dead.
Is that I was before the podcast started, I was using the restroom. Is that why all the tiles are blown off the wall, Mr. Suskov?
It
I
might
think
have
it is.
actually been. Yeah. We'll have to fix that out. We'll have to send
Dimitri-
Looks like a
has got
Strider
some-
shot to the wall.
Dimitri hasn't been getting that much fiber, have you, Dimitri?
No, not really. Not recently, at least. After I ate those sardines.
Guess he's not a fan of the Vortigon feed. That thing's high in fiber.
I actually may try that. My fiber's been very under low lately. And just say little cocoa balls in the toilet. But as I said, I don't have any restaurants to suggest. But gentlemen, do you have any suggestions? Larson, don't shout at your restaurant again.
Azio.
Fair enough. After hearing what he's putting in, what he has put into his food, I think it's time that we have a Minister of Health and Safety, because I'm kind of concerned now.
Yeah, I think we need that division to be made ASAP.
I think we need his restaurant closing down too. But,
I'd like to shout out Mr. Siren Sarkis. He makes a good piece of bread.
Oh, okay.
Oh god, I'm scared about what's inside of it. Anyway, no, yeah, there's nothing really to be said.
What's I mean, Dimitri? Thank you for being your greatest host, and thank you, gentlemen of the MSC, the General, and the Chairman for joining us today. It has been a great honour to have you on the show. And if you guys would like to shout yourself out or any other businesses, please state now.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Azio.
then.
I can't talk for you forever.
OnlyFans. That's it.
Oh, AZO will be doing that OnlyFans. I should be
anyway.
watching that tonight.
The only shout out I have
what
is
the fuck?
if anyone is not doing anything, call me. I will get you a job in anything. you
Dimitri,
could
I
possibly
think it's
imagine.
time. I think it's time, Dimitri.
Already you're interrupting our general? God damn. That's rude.
The disrespect of a
This
veteran.
guy.
That's it. Demotion. Automatic demotion.
You know what? No, we're gonna go one step up.
Oh,
Oh,
no, 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 no.